True.
Good. Good morning, everyone. We'll call the September 27th Crow Wing County Board of Commissioners meeting to order. Please join us for a pledge and a moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is open forum. If there's anybody in the audience that would like to speak towards something not on today's agenda, please come forward. Seeing none, we will, next item is review and approval of the September 13th board meeting.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Coring, second by Commissioner Franzine. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Review and approve today's?
No changes.
No changes?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Franzine, second by Commissioner Barrows. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. On to the consent agenda. Any question, comments?
Mr. Chairman, I do have a comment. Under the Highway Department paying the bill for calcium chloride. Just want to tell the board a quick story about, I don't know, this couple months ago when the county was getting ready to spray calcium chloride on some of the county dirt roads down in my area. We had a petition actually in Platte Lake Township, and the county engineer called me and said that he was going to go down there and just explain why we needed to put calcium chloride down to protect our asset. And so I went along with him to back him up. And but I think ultimately, and I think we all know this, we're working for the people of Crow Wing County, and there was a lot of people that were quite upset, and they didn't want calcium chloride on the road, the dirt road that they lived on. So at the meeting, which got quite heated, we told them we were going to go ahead and do it. And then when we left there, I thought about it, for I think until the next morning, and I called up Tim, and I said, you know what, I think we got to rethink this. And so Tim looked at the cost of it, and between the Highway Department, Tim, the county engineer, and myself, we just decided that, you know what, these people don't want it. Why are we pushing it on them? And so we decided not to do it. And I have traveled those dirt roads this summer just for the fact that if I'm down that area, I come on those roads to see how they're holding up. And they're holding up really well. We've had rain, and they've been bladed this summer, and my constituents were quite happy that we listened to them instead of forcing something on them. So if you look at today's consent agenda, the cost is, I think, 26% less. That's why it's 26% less, because we actually didn't do County Road 139, 132, and there's some other ones in there. And so I think we saved the county money, and then, kept the people in my area happy that did not want that. Their contention is when it gets wet, that stuff comes and sticks underneath your vehicle, and it's actually worse than salt in the wintertime. It just kind of rusts your vehicle out from the bottom. And so, anyway, I just thought I'd tell you that story, and I just wanted to say I appreciate the county engineer for us having a conversation about this, and I just told him, I said, you know what, I just don't want it. Tim looked at it and kind of saw that I don't know that it was necessarily cost effective. It's very expensive to put calcium chloride down. So anyway, just wanted to tell you that. It was a good thing, I think.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Barrows, second by Commissioner Brecken. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. Item 6, 4-H youth.
While Laura and Cassie get settled, I'll just say a couple words. Thank you so much for having us, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. It's a pleasure to be here again. I want to just say that the county is an important part of the land-grant university system. By having a county extension office, you provide the front door for the university to county residents. Many, many people come to us with questions, and we help them with all kinds of resources. Today, though, we're focused on 4-H youth development. So we have Cassie, our 4-H educator, and Laura, who's one of the youth who's learning leadership skills and participating in 4-H. So thanks for this time on your agenda.
Sure.
Thank you for the introduction, Suzanne, and thank you again for having us here. I am Cassie Gerling, and this is Laura Lust, and we have a little presentation for you today. That first slide, it's just an introductory slide. Our motto is down at the bottom, to make the best better. And then the picture you see is our Crow Wing County delegation for our state horse show. So these gals went down to the state horse show just a couple of weekends ago, and the drill team actually took first place for the 4th year in a row. So very dedicated youth there. You can go to the next slide. So just an agenda today, I'm going to provide a brief program update and then talk a little bit about Laura and her role in the county program, and then highlight one of our summer programs that happened this last summer, and then we are going to do a 4-H week proclamation, which is October 2nd through the 8th of this year. So if you'll direct to this paper here, I don't know if you have paper copies, I'm going to read a little bit from that program update. So in Minnesota 4-H, youth have the opportunity to learn about a huge variety of topics and in the process discover their sparks. They then take that knowledge and put it to use to make change in their communities and beyond. Throughout the year, more than 26,000 youth engage in established club and after-school programming. To complement our ongoing programming, 4-Hers are invited to participate in additional activities at the local, regional, and state levels. This spring, more than 8,600 of those 4-Hers took advantage of the additional 383 programs offered across the state. So those included anything from project kits and knowledge contests to photography and service projects. So this is for the Minnesota state as a whole. If we look at our county program, at the end of the 4-H year, which runs from October to September, we had 360 program participants. That includes Clover Buds, which is kindergarten, 1st and 2nd grade, youth ages 3 through the year after high school, and then our volunteers, which was an 8% increase from last year's program. Our unique programs include the 10 community clubs. These are clubs that meet similarly to you, where you have some business and some recreational items. They meet monthly and do different educational activities based on what the youth are interested in. And we actually have 2 that are going to be chartering this year, so we'll have 12 this next year. And then some other unique programs we have, actually I'll direct you to the end, the last, or the back of the page. Do you have the actual printout or not? Okay, so I've got a printout here. We're gonna talk briefly about Blue, which is you can go back to the last page, Therese.
Last page.
Oh, just the one that shows this here. Yeah, backwards, thank you. Talking about Blue, so we're building the next generation of leaders. Blue is an acronym for Building Leadership and Understanding. It's a conference that's held each spring. And this year, Laura had the chance to go, and she's going to share a little bit about what she learned at that conference.
So I went to Blue this year, and Blue is through 6th through 9th graders. I was a part of Blue, and Blue helps you learn about how to know your different types of skill sets and mindsets that can help you be a better leader. And then for Teal, it's kind of a ladder in the form of 4-H, so we kind of went over different ways to build community and leadership and communicate through different members in 4-H and how to have better relationships.
Thank you. And I'm so sorry, I must not have been clear. The one before this, please. I'll just talk a little bit about those unique programs in Crow Wing County. So this is an update on the left for statewide. Our county program intermingles with the regional and state level events. So I don't have an exact number for the programs in Crow Wing County because we do a lot of collaboration with that. Some other unique programs we had this year were the dog training program that starts in the spring, and those kids meet 1 to 2 times per week and learn different skills from our volunteers in preparation for the state dog show that was just held this last weekend. I mentioned briefly the drill teams. We had 3 drill teams this year, one being a quad with just 4 youth, and then 2 of the others being small and large freestyle. So the kids work on a routine and practice that routine and show that routine at the regional level in hopes to gain a state trip. And then another unique program we have in the county is a shooting sports program. They meet at the Lakeshore Conservation Club up towards, not sure where that is towards, but they meet and practice disciplines like trap and archery, and I think they do .22, do those different disciplines and practice those skills. And then Summer Sewing Club, I'll talk a little bit more about that in a couple slides over. And then Arts In is a performing arts program. They met, I think, like 15 times over the summer and practiced a routine, and then they performed that routine at the county fair 3 times this year. So fun performing arts program that we had over the summer, and that took a break for a couple of years because of COVID, so it was good to see it back this year. Now it's the next slide, thank you. Okay, so I invited Laura Lust here because as a former classroom teacher, one thing that I loved getting to know my students, but once it was end of May, I had to say goodbye to them and give them to the next teacher. But the cool thing with this role in 4-H is that I can build those relationships from kindergarten all the way to the year after high school, and I've known Laura since I started here, so I've gotten to know her and invited her here today because she's shown a great amount of initiative. She is a county ambassador, so she's in our leadership club for Crow Wing County. She is a livestock enthusiast, so she's really passionate about growing our livestock project. She's active in 2 community clubs. She's in our Baxter Sandpipers Club and in the Poultry Club, and she participates in our federation meetings frequently as well. She's been the lead on some of our social media promotion efforts, and she is involved in youth development programs outside of 4-H, so she's very involved in FFA as well. And just recently, last night, she was elected our vice president of our federation, so she's going to talk a little bit about her efforts in the county. Next slide.
So for our 4-H livestock leasing program, I've been meeting with Cassie throughout the year, and we created different forms for kids to fill out and farmers to fill out to make connections between them, to give kids the opportunity to show animals. We've had quite a few people interested in it, so that's really good. And I made the slide with Cassie's help, so we've been working on promotionals, like handing them out at county fair, handing them out to schools, businesses, all that kind of stuff. And we have been working really hard trying to get kids interested and active in the program. And then on the right, I made that flyer you might have seen it hanging around in some of the buildings around the county fair this year. So we've been working on promoting our county through different websites, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all of that, trying to get some more engagement throughout the community.
So I've learned that Facebook is not widely used among young people, and so Laura has encouraged us to start an Instagram, so that's been going around, I think, over 200 posts already. Start an Instagram, which has been a great following, and then she is really great at making TikTok videos, so that's been a huge success too.
Yeah, I was discussing with Cassie because part of our meetings is talking about how to grow and change to get better membership and promotion, and we were discussing like where do kids get the most interest and where do they go online most of the time, and we were talking about how most of the younger generation does not use Facebook anymore, so we've made some updates to try and get some more participation, and it's been working out really well so far.
And just to backtrack a little bit too, Laura had recognized that the livestock participation in Crow Wing County has dipped a little bit, and this leasing program is an effort to build that back up and make people aware that this is an option that Extension has.
Yeah, the only reason I started this program is because I've leased all my animals for 5 years. I do beef cattle, sheep, goats, chickens, ducks. I've touched in almost everything, and it has been a huge help for me. I did it as a FFA presentation as well, talking about this, and I feel like every kid could grow from it, so that's why me and Cassie started this program.
Okay, next slide. Okay, a little bit of a deeper dive for our summer program. This picture here shows our summer sewing club. I had noticed one day that there are bins of just extra t-shirts down in our storage room, and thought to myself, like, there's no use having those down there. So I approached Cindy Terwilliger. She is a 40-year 4-H volunteer. She is a club leader and is involved in lots of different other county level things. And asked her, would you be willing to make a t-shirt club with a few kids? And she was enthusiastically excited about the opportunity. So these kids here met throughout the summer and made this quilt from t-shirts to a finished product. And actually it was raffled off at our Federation meeting last night. And the gal that's holding it up in the back right, her grandma had attended every summer club meeting with us, and her name was drawn, so it was fun to see it go back to the group that made it, or the gal that made it. And in the right is Tucker Binsfield. He is a 3rd grader now. Every session he was completely engaged in taking in all of the skills that this volunteer was teaching them. So it was a really neat program, and all of them have decided they'd like to continue this program. So we'll either do like a winter or a year-long thing, or we'll do the summer sewing club again, but it was a huge success, and it was really fun to be a part of and watch these kids take this all in. Okay, next slide. So the main reason we're here is to proclaim 4-H Week, October 2nd through the 8th of 2022, and Laura's going to read our proclamation off to you.
Whereas 4-H is America's largest youth development organization, having supported almost 6 million youth across the country thus far, and whereas 4-H has helped more than 25,000 youth in Minnesota become confident, independent, resilient, and compassionate leaders, and whereas 4-H is developed by Cooperative Extension, a community of more than 100 public universities across the nation that provides experiences where young people learn by doing hands-on projects in areas including health, science, agriculture, and citizenship. And whereas National 4-H Week showcases the incredible experiences that 4-H offers young people and highlights the remarkable 4-H youth in Crow Wing County who work each day to make a positive impact on those around them. And whereas 4-H's network of 6,000 volunteers and 3,500 professionals provides caring and supportive mentoring to all 4-Hers, helping them to grow into true leaders, entrepreneurs, and visionaries. Now, therefore, I, Laura Lust, do hereby proclaim October 2nd through the 8th, 2022, as 4-H Week throughout Crow Wing County, and encourage all of our citizens to recognize 4-H for the significant impact it has made and continues to make by empowering youth with the skills they need for a lifetime.
You can go to the next slide. So with that being National 4-H Week is already next week, I can't believe next week is October, I encourage you to check out our social channels and watch for these fun themed posts, starting with Service Sunday, and encourage you to participate. So we'd love for you to join in. And then go to the next slide.
So is there any questions that you have about our program?
No, a good program.
Very good job.
Yep, no question. Mr. Chair, and I might just add, you've talked about adding 2 more clubs in the coming year, and I think that's watching the growth. I just can't overexpress the amount of importance it is for people to understand what the ag community is, the art community, the leadership community that you guys are trying to promote out there with these young people. I just think it's another step in their education process as they're growing up, and I applaud you guys for what you do every day to, and the change that you've made in 4-H, going not just ag, but into all these other areas that are extremely important for the future of our county and our country. So thank you very much for that. And with that, I'll make the motion to approve the resolution that was attached and read for us, proclaiming 4-H week, October 2 through 8.
Yes.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Barrows
I'll second.
and second by Commissioner Brecken. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and congratulations on your new role.
Commissioners, would it be possible to get a photo with them, with you?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm gonna hold bunny ears in the back for sure.
Oh, you can take it?
Okay. I'll take one too. Sure, thank you. I'll take one and then I'll let Therese do the official one. Thank you very much. Got it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Hope you're not in a hurry. Okay. Let's see. Item 7, land services. Gary? Let's see, termination.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and fellow commissioners. We have before you a resolution to terminate an assessment agreement on the old SEH office building over here in Brainerd. I believe Eric Charpentier is here today. If you have any questions on the specifics of that agreement, that'll stay in place for the TIF, but the minimum assessment agreement, since it's the county assessor that handles those, if you have any questions on that, I'm here to answer any of those questions.
Any questions for Gary? Nope. Seeing none. What are the wishes?
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to approve the resolution that's attached, approving the termination of an assessment agreement between the Housing and Redevelopment Authority in and for the city of Brainerd, Minnesota, and Nelson Keepers LLP.
All right, motion by Commissioner Barrows,
Second.
second by Commissioner Fran Zane. Any discussion? Eric, did you have anything? Okay.
Can speak to it if the commissioners would like to hear more about
If you'd like, but if not, well, I think we're,
it? Give you a real quick rundown. Thank you, Commissioners. Eric Charpentier with the Brainerd HRA. So what we've got in front of you today is just the termination of an assessment agreement on a TIF project that we entered into back in 2008, I believe, 2007. Formerly known in the SCH building. That building has sold. The new owner of that building is looking to have that minimum assessment agreement reduced or terminated. In turn, they are going to pay the rest of our bonds off at the HRA. We are going to keep the TIF district out there because we also do have a secondary loan, interfund loan with the HRA on that. So we are hoping to recoup our investment as well, but we realize that the assessment agreement will then potentially lower those taxes over time. We still believe we'll get paid back by doing this and do request that the county board entertain the assessment termination.
perfect. Sounds good, thanks, Aaron. All right, we have a motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. County engineer. Is that?
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm not the county engineer. I'm Jory Danielson, Maintenance Supervisor for the Highway Department. I'm here today to request approval for out-of-state training for Lucas Marks, our Assistant Maintenance Supervisor. The training is for LTAP, Local Regional Conference in Rapid City, South Dakota. LTAP is a program that we participate in, a state program that offers training, education, and best practice manuals for us as maintenance professionals. At this training, Lucas has an opportunity to learn about legal issues that face counties and maintenance professionals, along with gravel tips, stabilizing roadways, evaluating gravel surfaces, and also anti-icing practices. The cost of this would mainly just be lodging and meals. Because he's a first-time participant, there is no cost for him to attend this day-and-a-half training.
Any questions?
Mr. Chair, I do have a question for the county administrator. I haven't, in the past, we've always, the board has always approved out-of-state travel, and I haven't heard any out-of-state travel requests for a long time.
That's correct.
But I do have a question. I was looking at the bills that were sent to us, and where is it at? I knew that was going to happen. Holiday Inn and Suites, L.A. That doesn't mean Los Angeles, does it? Or
I don't know.
okay.
I don't think so, but I'd have to look into it.
But I think my main question is we still have the policy that
Oh,
if
yeah.
there's we do.
Yes.
Okay, I guess that's all.
Out-of-state travel requests are expected to come before the county board. So if that is LA like Los Angeles, I'd like to know.
Right, and that was sent to us
So
in the bills.
can you just forward that to me?
I can.
And then I will look into it for you.
Okay.
Back to highway. Any questions, comments, or?
I don't have any more questions. I just want to say I'm glad that this comes to us. I don't think we've ever turned anybody down, but I think it's good to know what's going on, and I'm guessing that 99% of the time that when our staff goes to this meeting, they come back and either train or report back to the other people of what they've learned, which I think is a plus.
Yeah, and we have an opportunity. We get together once a month for safety training and kind of a mini summit just to make sure we're all on the same page and talk about upcoming expectations that we have. And this will be an opportunity, or that meeting will be an opportunity for Lucas to share his knowledge with the group at that time.
One more observation, I will say that, like I said, we haven't had any outstate training for quite some time. I applaud our staff for the frugality that they are showing, and I think that the pandemic has also changed things where a lot of things are being done by video, and so we don't have the expense of out-of-state travel, which is, I think, good for the taxpayers. And but I'm like I said, I'm not against this. I know that training is important. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I would move the request for board action for the out-of-state travel.
Okay, we got a motion by Commissioner Coring,
Second.
second by Commissioner Barrows. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Next up, facilities.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. We have had an unexpected failure of the control circuit that controls the Chiller 2 motor. It's a 341 horsepower motor, and it's an expensive repair. I'd just like to take a couple minutes here. I have a few slides to just walk you through what it takes to control one of these monsters. This is a big machine. That panel that you're looking at right there is about 4 feet tall by 5 feet wide. So just to put things in reference. This is the BAS controller. This controls the entire chiller plant. not just a chiller. It tells a chiller when to come on and controls all the pumps for the campus, the pumps for the chillers, the cooling tower. This is just a diagram of what that controller you just saw does. On the left-hand side, all the inputs, those are all field sensors, pressures, temperatures, flow rates, those kind of things that feed into that controller. That controller has logic in it that tells pumps to slow down, motors to close, or valves to close and open, stuff like that. This is the picture that controller you just looked at gives us. This is what our group interfaces with to run the chiller plant. This is how we control the chiller and all the perimeter equipment that supports the chiller. So that's the first level of controls. Yes, sir.
John, just a question, is a chiller, is that just like a big condensing unit? Is that what that is? Is it a big air conditioner?
It is a water-cooled air conditioner, but instead of cooling the air, it's cooling water. And we're pumping that water underground into each facility. So it's the same concept, but we're just using different material to deliver the cooling.
And then they call it a chiller.
They call it a chiller. We can move on. This is the panel that is actually on the chiller that comes from the factory. We tell the chiller how to run, when to run, and what temperature we want it to produce. This is the panel that actually controls the internal components of the chiller. So it's switching the internal pressures, refrigerant levels, oil temperatures, all those kind of things. That's the inside of that panel. So that's the second tier of controls. And then we'll go to the actual motor panel where we had the failure. Everything in here controls the speed of that 341 horsepower motor. So you can't start a 341 horsepower 900 amp motor by flipping a switch. It has to be turned on slowly, and the speed has to be able to be ramped up and down as the demand on the campus changes. This actually this panel saves the county a significant amount of money by slowing that motor down as our demand through the evening or in the morning is lower. Go ahead. This just shows some electronic components on the bottom of the panel where the failure was. This shows where the capacitors blew up inside the panel and put debris on the top of the inside of the panel. And this is just an example of part of the failure. You can't see, this is just the surface of the failure. Underneath that white panel on the right-hand side, there's very large capacitors that help those motor windings that have failed also. So the request is to repair this panel.
How much?
$57,000.
So that would be a way in which this is an air conditioner, but is not your home air conditioner.
Right.
You could go and buy a home air conditioning unit for $5,000. We're not heating a house or cooling a house. We're cooling an entire campus of 5 buildings and how many thousands of square feet. And so the size here is what drives those costs. If we were on the heating side and we were talking about our boiler units, we have 2 large boilers, 1 small boiler. Eventually, we got to retube those boilers. There is maintenance expenses associated with this. This is a run-to-fail part. We don't replace it until it fails. It did. Now's the time we got to replace it. We did not do this as an emergency repair because we have another chiller, and we're in the shoulder seasons of the year. And so we only needed 1 chiller. If we would have been in the middle of July, I would have had to authorize the expense just because we couldn't keep the building cool. We need 2 chillers during peak, but we don't need 2 chillers all the time. So we rotate back and forth between the 2 of them so that we wear them out equally. So I think there's a method to the madness, but this is a run-to-fail part. I feel bad that it's $57,000, but I'm not shocked that it's $57,000.
It's a $1 million machine, and it is by far the most complex piece of equipment that we maintain and operate on the campus. It's 200 tons of cooling, so if you have a ton and a half air conditioning in your house, this is capable of doing a couple hundred homes. That's how big it is. So,
How old is the part?
that part, the parts that failed, the whole chiller is 17 years old. And so the electronics, most of them are about the same age. So hopefully they'll hang on for the life of the machine, but we'll see. it's the mechanical side of the chiller and all the motor and the bearings and the gearbox. We do PMs on all that, and we can see those kind of problems coming. Electronic failures, there's really no indication, and it happens in a fraction of a second, and it's over. So.
Any questions?
Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to authorize the expenditure of $57,357 to Johnson Controls for the repair of the central plant chiller number 2 electronic control circuit.
We have a motion by Commissioner Barrows, second by Commissioner Coring. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank
Thank
you
you.
for the
Thank you, John.
presentation. Veterans Service Officer. Morning.
Morning, Chair, Commissioners.
Morning.
Today, I know I put down 15, 20 minutes, so I'm going to try to keep true to that. I can talk a long time about this stuff, but first off, I wanted to update you a little bit on our activities from the beginning of the year through September. We're up about 30% for our client visits, meaning we have more walk-ins, we have more appointments. We've really focused a lot on appointments this year because we're just more efficient that way, to be able to meet with the veteran at a specific time, be able to be just prepared for the claim. And we've focused a lot on phone calls and phone interviews to be able to know what we're getting into with the claim and what they need to prepare for their claim, just to make it most efficient. So, but we're up about 30% for our walk-in client visits between those who are walking in and our appointments. This last year I've done 4 hospital visits for veterans. We are up about 19% for our outreach visits, going out to nursing home facilities. About once a month I try to make it over to Bethany Good Samaritan, where we have 15 to 20 veterans who make it for coffee time, and I can update their claims, just talk with them, get to know them a little bit more, and we've had pretty good success with increases in their service connections with those visits, getting them a little bit more money for or compensation that they should have been getting for quite a while. And so those outreaches are important to me and important to the veterans as well. We don't want to forget about those who are in a facility and can't make it to our office. So outreach has been a big focus as well. So we've had 257 new veterans in our office this last year, meaning that we've created new records that we didn't have on file for them in our office. I think a lot of that has to do with our outreach for the new deployments that have been coming back. There's a group of Minnesota County Veteran Services service officers that volunteer their time to go down to the place where they're demobbing or where they're coming back from active duty from their deployments, and they gather information, what counties are they from, and they send us a report back up to that, and then we reach out to them through sending letters, phone calls, and having them bring in their discharge paperwork into our office, and talk about kind of how their deployment went and benefits that they could be available to them. So that's up 35% from last year. Let's see. New claims, we're up about 17%, so we're at about 257 new claims that we filed. We're actually down for supplemental claims, meaning claims that have already previously been denied or ones that we're reopening. That's not necessarily a bad thing. That's kind of a good thing. It tells us maybe we're being a little bit more efficient with our claims processes and getting more approvals for those. And I'm working on those statistics as well for the claims that we have processed and kind of how they're coming back. Are they granted? Are they denied? We have taken, last year we didn't do any appeals to the Board of Veterans Affairs. This year we've done 6 of them. We're kind of learning through training that we've had with the state and nationals that, these appeals to the Veterans Board of Administrations might be a good thing. There's just some claims that probably won't get adjudicated in favor of the veteran at the regional office level. And so we take it to a judge, and they kind of have like a little hearing through teleconference and video conference. And so those ones take a little bit longer though. So I haven't had any results of those ones quite yet. DIC claims are dependent indemnity compensation claims for veterans who passed away and surviving spouse benefits for the service-connected disability of the veteran passing, about the same as last year. We're right at about 24 of those. And burial benefits are up. There's 62 burial benefits signed up from surviving spouses and family. We are up about 133% for VA debt waivers. So over COVID time, there was some debt created, some of it due to the VA not sending out bills and catching up with them once they started sending that out. Also with some other various debt that the VA, either through healthcare or through the benefits side and being on active duty still in the National Guard. We've helped veterans file for some of those debt waivers that don't have the income to be able to pay off those debts, and the VA has granted all of them. And I think we're at about $74,000 worth of debt forgiveness from the VA for our veterans. For state assistance, SSAP, our numbers are really down for that, but they're down throughout. It's a statewide trend. We're at about 42,000, about 43,000, but we're fourth overall in the state. Last year, I think we were at about $130,000 in grant aid, and we were seventh in the state comparing to other counties. So there's a few more things that we're pushing for with the winter coming through. We're seeing more furnaces going out or needing help with furnaces that this grant and the special needs grant is available for. But I think a lot of it too is there's been a lot of other assistance through other local organizations, veteran organizations and groups such as DAV, VFW, Homeless and Wounded Warriors for Minnesota. And just for example, we've had about $42,000 in local assistance for veterans from Crow Wing County and in our area. Last year it was only $15,000. So I think that is kind of counterbalancing why we're so low. And it is a statewide trend too that their numbers just aren't there. We're trying to maximize on that because I know that they have a lot of money to be able to give out that was allocated and budgeted for that grant. And so we're making efforts to reach out for our veterans to see if we can take advantage of that state grants. Partnerships, we've worked together with Arboretum right now for a veterans hunt in October, coming up here real soon. Develop ideas for an application process, selection, and verification that they're veterans. A little bit talk about that is they're opening up, I think last year was the first year that they did it, and it was pretty successful. They are allowing a select few, certain number of veterans into the Arboretum area to be able to do a bow hunt. And we're looking forward to see how that turns out this year as well. Working with Crow Wing Energize and the VA with suicide prevention committees throughout Crow Wing County, and working with lots of stakeholders and getting ideas on how to promote our veteran culture and the troubles and suicide is sometimes a taboo topic to talk about, but it's a very important topic to talk about. And, it's something out there to just make aware and let our veterans know that it's okay to come forward and get help, as well as, how to train those who may see a veteran in need for mental health to be able to navigate that process to get them the help that they need. So, working hand in hand with a veterans employment representative up in the second floor at the Workforce Center here in Crow Wing County. His official title is the DVOP. Jerry is his name. we're assisting veterans. What they do is, he's a great partner with us as veterans are coming in. They're needing work, or they lost work, and they're trying to find that employment. He's a great resource to send up. He's a veteran helping veterans, and he's made a lot of good connections up there. And we came together and started a network group, and we meet down in Camp Ripley, kind of centralized from different resources that we have are pulling in. MACV, which is helping homeless veterans prevent them from being homeless, and helping them, secure home from being homeless. We've had other groups like veterans employment reps, other CBSOs, family readiness groups, and Beyond the Yellow Ribbon down in Little Falls area and surrounding areas. And it's just really good to have those networks, those groups come together, what benefits are available. So I don't have to try to keep track of all of them, but I can send them to the specialists and those who know exactly the changes that are going on, and also learn about those programs, so I can make those available for our veterans as well. So some of 2022 goals, I think one of them was continuing to build our outreach. I feel that that has definitely been something that we have been able to do. Maybe not, we haven't gotten into the satellite office area. I'm kind of pulling back on that a little bit, because we are meeting veterans where they are, if needed. So we stay late hours if a veteran is working and doesn't get off till 5, we'll adjust our schedule for that. We are driving up to different areas as the need is. I am looking at a different management system for our office. Right now we have VIMS. VIMS is an older, outdated program, database. There's a lot of newer companies out there that are getting better reputation, that have more virtual capability, e-signing, secure emailing, direct upload to the VA. So it's less printing off of paperwork, more mobile, be able to email packets to those who have the email capability. They can sign everything that they need to, and then send it back, and we can upload that. So I'm working on pricing that out, talking to other veteran service officers throughout the state who have those programs, to learn the ins and outs and the benefits and the pros, what they like about it, what they don't like about it, and working on making a decision on that. But that would make significant impact on our outreach, from being able to reach those who can't make it into the office but have the technology capable of going through and signing those claims and information that we need to. So our home facility and visits are up this last year, so that's great. Big changes in the any questions on those so far before I move on to the next topics here? Okay, so these are the big ones that I want to let you guys know what's coming up in our office and how the laws and the changes have impact. We had the PACT Act recently passed for our veterans. I think earlier June or July, there was Meet at the Hill with the veterans. We took a busload of veterans to the Capitol, and we were educating lawmakers a little bit, and just sat in on the presentation that they had inside the big circled area. I forget what it's called right now, but that was pretty impressive. It was quite a sight to see a lot of veterans meeting there. That wasn't the PACT Act, but that was kind of part of it. That was for the Minnesota omnibus that they were trying to pass. And I'll pass the PACT Act, and I'll go to the one that was helped pass with that. It's the post 9/11 Veteran Service Bonus, which was part of that passing. It's the Minnesota Department of Veteran Affairs was tasked. It's a bonus for anyone who served after 9/11, so September 11th, 2001. If they were on active duty, they were deployed, or they started their active duty service in Minnesota, and they are a Minnesota resident, they can be eligible for bonuses. There's three types. There's a $600 bonus, there's a $1,200 bonus, and a $2,000 bonus. The $600 bonus is, but they had to have served active duty between 9/11/2001 to August 30th, 2021, and they have to be a Minnesota resident. If all those check, they can be eligible for $600. To get the next tier for the $1,200, those same rules apply, but they also have to have had a deployment that, like Iraq campaign medal, Afghanistan campaign medal, Armed Forces Expeditionary Medal, or a Global War on Terrorism Expeditionary Medal. So kind of more direct war on terrorism service and active duty time. So if they meet those requirements, they can get $1,200. The last one is a $2,000 bonus. Those are for those families or dependents who lost a veteran or a service member on active duty. And if they can show that, they can be eligible for the $2,000. So we are assisting veterans with this process, but the way that the Minnesota Department of Veterans Affairs set it up is they can log into a portal and upload the documentation themselves. They just need a copy of their DD-214, a driver's license, or a proof of Minnesota residency. And there's a form to print off it's like a tax form. It's non-taxable money, but they need it to process the payments and sign it and send that in, and it's really easy. It only takes about 5 minutes. So we've been assisting those who have questions on that and assisting those who were maybe denied to find out what it was that why they didn't qualify for that. Back to the PACT Act. Kind of got off track there, but back to the PACT Act. This is the largest healthcare expansion and benefits coverage in history and covers veterans from Vietnam, Gulf War, and post 9/11 eras where they were exposed to burn pits and other toxic substances. The full name of the law is the Sergeant First Class Heath Robinson, honoring our promise to address comprehensive toxins, or PACT Act. Its key features are there's 23 new recognized presumptive conditions for burn pits and other toxic exposures. Many of them are cancers and lung conditions for breathing in the burn pits and things that they burned over there, and dust. A lot of them are those, a lot of them are breathing issues. We're seeing a lot of veterans coming back from those deployments and having health concerns in those areas. There's more locations including, such as Afghanistan now, Djibouti, Egypt, Jordan, Syria, just to name a few of those who I know have been deployed over to those areas in Crow Wing County and in our area. There's also more exposure locations eligible for Agent Orange and Vietnam veterans. Thailand and Guam have been added. So it used to be you had to have been around the perimeter of an Air Force base where they sprayed it Agent Orange to keep the vegetation down. Now they're just presuming that if you served on Thailand or in Guam between 1962 and 1976, that it's presumed that you've been exposed to Agent Orange. Also with the American Samoa and territorial waters off of Guam and the American Samoa from 1962 to 1980. So it kind of expands it a couple of years than what you see with other benefits out there. And then also Laos from 1965 to 1969. What does that do for our office? It's opening up a lot of claims. We have a lot of Thailand veterans and surviving spouses who have been fighting for benefits for Agent Orange exposures and the disabilities that they've had. This now opens that up presumptive, so they're gonna be able to benefit from this new law passing. The other thing that came up was they've added hypertension to Agent Orange presumptive conditions. That's going to be a big one as well. We've been getting a lot of phone calls about that, and so I know the VA right now we can file claims. We're trying to look into a little bit deeper than just filing for the hypertension. We're looking for secondary conditions, which I think is going to be more of a help for the veteran than just the hypertension itself, which is typically a lower rating. Hypertension can cause kidney issues. It can cause multiple other diagnoses and health concerns. So we're kind of digging into it. We have some time for that. The law passed in August, and so you have up to a full year to file for that claim. So without missing out on those benefits, the effective date will go back to the date that the law was signed or passed. So we're doing extra research in for our veterans to be able to make sure that they're benefiting as much as they can from that. I think this also affects surviving spouses, kind of like Blue Water Navy had a huge impact for our Vietnam veterans and the surviving spouses of veterans who passed away who served in the Navy from Agent Orange presumptive conditions, but they weren't eligible for it because they didn't serve in boots on the ground Vietnam. It made a lot of our spouses eligible for those benefits. Same thing with this one. Thailand, Guam, which are very common for back then, where a lot of veterans had served, but they weren't qualified. Also with hypertension or high blood pressure or renal failure, those type of things need to be looked at to try to help our surviving spouses out for those benefits. Did I go over? I'll stop it right there, and I'll open up the floor for questions if you have any.
Just a question, Eric. Any Camp Lejeune veterans in Crow Wing County? I mean, I think the Camp Lejeune commercials have outdone the My Pillow guy. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm serious. I think every time I go to drink a glass of water, I think of Camp Lejeune and all the bad things that have.
And Camp Lejeune has been around and the drinking water and the contaminated water has been around for a long time. Why it exploded this year, I don't know. I don't know why the private attorneys and those attorneys that you end up paying for your benefits had taken a hold of this. I think maybe a lot of that time era is you're starting to see them maybe retiring and staying at home, so now they're watching more TV. I'm not sure. Nothing really has changed with Camp Lejeune as far as the benefits. You still have to have one of those presumed, those diagnoses. You had to have served on Camp Lejeune for a number of days. In fact, I got to double check, but I think they also changed that now, where it's instead of 30 days, I think they lowered that number, and I'll come up with that number. But anyone who served on Camp Lejeune, give our office a call before you call those commercials.
Yeah.
You can, right now, they're taking up to, those attorneys are taking up to 60% of the benefits that are received by those veterans. So.
Sounds like a lawyer question.
Must be.
So our office is here to be able to help assist with that. If the benefits are there, we'll find it. If they're not, we'll do an honest analysis of it. Absolutely.
Cool. Well, I was just going to say I just appreciate the job you're doing. I mean, you've way outlived my expectations of the job that you're doing. I mean, I think this was the job for you, and I think you do an excellent job. So thanks, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Chair, and I would echo what Commissioner Coring has said about the job you're doing over there. I just want to go back because I have a bone with the Vietnam veterans and how we treated them, and I think about this Agent Orange's presumptive stuff that's coming forward now. You think back to 1962, you mentioned that year, and so 60 years have passed. That young man or young woman was 18 when they went into service. They're 78 years old now. 60 years to get to where we have this benefit being shown as a respect to these individuals who fought in that war, which in my opinion was a political war. It wasn't a military war. And these people have paid a price, and we just slowly do it. And so what it appears to me by our federal Congress and people in authority out there is that it's a cost-saving factor, because at 78 years old, we know many of them have passed away, both the families and the veteran. And that is a travesty in itself. So not only did they get kicked in the teeth when they came back from the war zone, they're being kicked in the teeth now after the fact. And I just find that to be appalling. that our country would treat them like that. And it's going to be the same for the current group of veterans that are out there too, with some of the things that they've been exposed to. You know, you talk about the fire pits and that. Let's quit putting it off. When it's there, it's there. Let's acknowledge it, and let's take care of these veterans the way we should. I guess that wasn't a question, Eric. Just a statement.
It's a great statement.
Anything else?
You want something else? I can go on and on for hours.
I know you
No,
can.
no.
I'm sitting
Between you and
between
Paul,
two
You'll have
of us
to-
can do that.
We can go through that, but you'll have to set up an appointment.
Well, thank you for the update. It's
Eric, we're lucky to
always
have
good
you.
information.
Thank you.
County Sheriff.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, good morning. I was thinking the other day, and I don't know if we've had the luxury of bringing Roxa, our canine, over, and I did not bring her today or the handler, but I'm going to line that up for the near future. But you might have heard, we had it on Facebook, and there were some other reports. Roxa and her handler, Deputy O'Brien, assisted with a traffic stop search and ended up recovering, by the time it was all said and done on the case, about $6,500 cash and over a pound of methamphetamine. So kudos to Deputy O'Brien and Roxa. She's doing a really good job. She's been a strong partner already. She excelled at her training as she went through that. The example given to me was when they were searching for people, some of their dogs were within maybe 20 yards of the handler, and she was already working hundreds of yards with her handler ahead of everyone else. So she's really done a good job. And that's, as a reminder, that's really what the goal was. We wanted her for drug assistance, for searches of residences, of people, of property, of houses, of cars, and then also searches for people. And we've utilized her and Deputy O'Brien as a team numerous times for those roles. So in the very near future, I will bring Deputy O'Brien and Roxa, and you guys can meet her firsthand. And if you want to talk about a dog with some energy, holy smokes, yeah, she's got some energy and she's got some drive. So that's my report for today. Any questions? I would certainly love to try to answer them.
What would be the likelihood of intercepting those drugs without this canine?
You know, it's as good as the person searching. But as we know and have seen, they are people that are hauling a pound of methamphetamine are very good at trying to hide it, whether it's in a vehicle, on a person, in a container. They go to extreme levels to try to find, a hiding spot that we will not find it. And what I always go back to on my mind when we talk about search dogs and drug dogs is the example that I was told years ago. They said, we can all smell ketchup, but a dog can smell the farm that the tomatoes came from in the ketchup. So that'll give you an idea of, the avenue that we can chase down and the resource that we have using a dog versus just using our eyes. Really, when it comes to searching for drugs, is our eyes. And again, just like most of the drugs that we're seeing, these are not homegrown. These are stuff that are coming across from the southern border quite often, most of the time, and being transported all the way up here. This is not stuff that is being cooked in a little travel trailer or out in the woods like we dealt with, we had over a decade of that we dealt with. Yeah, there's a picture of Roxa right there with the money and the drugs. She's just crazy. I mean, she's got such a drive, it's phenomenal. And Deputy O'Brien, kudos to him. It's a lot of work for the handler, and it doesn't end when the day goes home. They've got the maintenance, the training, everything they got to keep up to speed with, and he and her are doing both a phenomenal job for us. So.
Sheriff, I don't know, it's probably a stupid question, but the great thing is with me, I'm not afraid to ask stupid questions, so because I guess I'm trying to learn, so understand things better, but I understand why people do drugs. I imagine that it's to make them feel good or get high, I guess. I don't really understand all that. But what I want to know about is, because I see it every day on the news, and I got to kind of quit watching so much news, but all the fentanyl that's coming over, what I don't understand, they got the colored pills to try to, get kids to think, oh gosh, that's kind of pretty. What is fentanyl? Is it going to give you a high, or what is up with that? I don't know.
Fentanyl is just basically an opioid that is on, the potency is oftentimes thousands more than what we would think of. You remember back a few years, and still continuing today, the crisis that we had with the oxycodone pills.
Right.
So basically taking oxycodone and make it tens of thousands of times stronger. That's what we're seeing with the fentanyl.
So kind of a pain reliever type thing, or?
Yeah. So it'll work the same thing, but imagine it's, and we put a video on our Facebook page not too long ago here of an exposure. It was two deputies, and one of them that was an exposure, whether it was through skin or inhalation, I don't know if there was maybe some powder there, but he had an immediate reaction, and luckily they had the tools there to treat him, and Narcan right there to treat him on site. It's nothing to mess around with, and yes, I just saw a report this morning of, their transportation ideas, and I agree, yes, it looks like this one, what they're making it look like is little kids' candy.
Yeah.
My mind, I guess my first thought is I don't think it's as much towards the targeted audience as just trying to get it in here and making it look like candy, rather than make it look like, something that it isn't. So if they can disguise it to look like.
Are you seeing any fentanyl?
Yes.
You are?
Yep, and fentanyl is coming in a lot of times where we're seeing the fentanyl traces is on other drugs or in contact or in combination with other drugs. Methamphetamine still is our go-to drug in this area, but fentanyl is more of a crisis every day, not only here, everywhere. The days of marijuana are present, but last year and most of this year, I'm not certain where we're at right now, but I'll get the number for you guys. We are higher with our methamphetamine seizure amounts than we are marijuana amounts, which is ridiculous, because normally it's marijuana amounts that are so high for us. And it's not that we're overlooking marijuana, that's still part of our work, but methamphetamine has really taken on its own monster. And it's somewhat surprising, the opioid problems are real close to our neighborhoods. The reservations that we have, both, in bordering counties, they see much more of an overdose problem and a problem with opioid, fentanyl, et cetera, than we do. But guaranteed, it is coming through our county and being used in our county daily.
But this fentanyl thing, this could be somebody that's 18, 19, 20 years old that has never done drugs in their entire life, and they're at a party, and somebody says, hey, why don't you try this pill? They might try it one time, overdose, and die right there.
Yes.
That's happening.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
Scary.
Yep, very scary.
Scary. Thank you.
You bet.
Any more questions for the sheriff? Seeing none, county attorney.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I only have the one item for you today. I previously sent out the proposed resolution in order establishing a cartway and award of damages. Unless there are any questions, I would just ask that the board authorize the chairman and Mr. Houle to execute those documents, and we can proceed forward with getting notice of filing of awards out and go to whatever the next phase of this will be.
This will put an official end to this cartway.
It will create an avenue to go to the next phase of these proceedings,
But we're not
yes.
involved in that, are we?
Could be.
If there is an appeal, the appeal will be filed against Crow Wing County, and then I would assume Mr. Kruger would bring a motion to intervene because it's really an argument between the petitioner and the landowner, and I would anticipate the court would grant that. But we will still have some type of peripheral involvement, and I'll continue to monitor that and keep in touch with the attorneys involved.
Mr. Chairman, I would move the request for board action presented on the resolution to an order establishing a cartway and the award of damages.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Coring, second by Commissioner Franzine. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you. I don't have anything further for you today, but certainly, as always, can answer any questions anyone may have of me. Thank you. Have a
Thank
good
you.
day.
Thank you.
County Administrator.
Mr. Chair, members, we did not hold a senior management team meeting yesterday, so I don't have a report for you. I do have an answer to your question, Commissioner Coring. The holiday in LA, I don't know what the A is for. It was for Lake Elmo Holiday Inn, and it was for assessors training.
Okay.
So it was not in Los Angeles. We can confirm that.
Okay.
Happy to answer questions about that or anything related to county government.
Thank you for that. That was quick.
Mr. Chair, I might just say, Mr. Hool, that when I've been out and talked to people about their valuations, they think it's LA. That's.
Mr. Chair, I did forget one item, if I may back you up.
Yep.
If one of the parties decides to file a notice of appeal, would it be acceptable to the board if I just accepted service on behalf of Crow Wing County so they didn't chase one of you down or Mr. Hool, and then we would start the process that way?
I'm totally fine with that.
Yes.
Do we need a motion or just consensus, or what do you think?
I don't think we need a motion.
No, I just wanted to bring it up and confirm that would be all right with you. As the attorney, I accept service on lots of things periodically, and we coordinated. I just wanted to ensure it's acceptable with the board. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tim, did you have anything else?
Nope, happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, any questions for Tim? Seeing none. 2023 preliminary budget. I gotta get a little coffee quick. Stall them.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. Before you today is the RBA for the approval of the preliminary levy for Crow Wing County, 1st and 2nd Assessment District, the HRA, as well as approval of the benefits package on file with HR. For 2023, we are proposing a preliminary levy of $44,148,151 for the county. This is a $1.24 million increase over 2022. This is a 2.89% in accordance with the discussions that we've had. This is a preliminary. We do have the ability to reduce this before December. We continue to work on the budget throughout the rest of this year to see if there's capacity for us to move lower yet. Today, you are not approving the actual budget. It is just that levy portion. Unorganized territory, preliminary for 2023 is $1.189 million. This is in keeping with the long-term plan for First Assessment District for roadway construction and maintenance. The Second Assessment District proposed for 2023 is $79,895. This is a significant increase over 2022, but in keeping with our 3-year plan to get us back to the sustainable level that is necessary to administer Second Assessment District, again, roads. We're also approving a proposed levy for HRA. Typically, we're bringing you a final at this point, but they did ask for an increase. There was some consensus to allow that increase here for a proposed. You still have that opportunity through December to make an adjustment to that if you so choose. And if it wants to work.
Mr. Chair, can I ask a question?
Is the battery dead?
As long as Eric is here, can you explain the increase? Would that be appropriate to ask that, Mr. Wool, or not?
Sure.
Okay. Eric, as long as you're here, I guess I just would like to hear right from you about what your increase is, why you're doing it, what it is.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair and County Commissioners. Eric Charpentier with the Crow Wing County and Brainerd HRAs. The levy request primarily in front of you for this year. We've still got the funds in there for the Housing Trust Fund that make up the majority of our levy request. The increase in levy request from 2022 to 2023 is surrounded between Creedy Bladek requests. They have increased their request by about 3%. And then we've got some on the HRA side increases in for Overhead, we've done an overhead calculation, something that our board has asked us to do, and primarily had not had a good bearing on that. We did do that overhead calculation on what it costs for the staff of the Brainerd HRA to facilitate these programs, and the overall levy request increases really comprise those updates or increases for that, for staff time, as well as that increase for Creedy and Bladek.
So is this 748,320, is that actually the increase?
No.
No, that is the total.
That's the total.
The increase is $18,820. 15,470 of that is operations for HRA.
Okay. And Creedy and the chamber?
Creedy is $750 and Bladek is $2,600 increase.
I see. Okay.
Yep. Any other questions for me?
The total increase percent?
Total increase percent, I believe, was just under 3. It was like 2.78%, I want to believe, if I can think of off the top of my head. Nick might have that.
I don't have it readily available, but I can do the math here very quickly.
It is under 3, I know that.
Under 3.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to get that answer for you in a second here. It is a 2.57% levy increase for them.
And that's just for the HRA?
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
Yep. As a reminder, for the levy portion, these are the departments that make that up. That is governance services, land services, public safety, admin services, highway and community services. We do have other funds, but they are not levy-based funds that play into our overall budget. These are the ones that drive the levy. This is a breakdown of where those levy dollars are going. You can see the majority go to public safety is hidden apparently. The yellow is public safety, community services is the remaining largest portion, and then you can see the breakdown from there. This is an outline of what the budget is at this point in time that justifies this levy increase. It shows you the expenditures per each area, the non-levy revenues, and property tax revenues associated with that, for a fund balance usage of $276,298 for 2023. This outlines the overall revenues for the county as a whole. This does include those non-levy based funds. So we have just over $100 million in revenue that come in. 44 million of that is levy. The remainder is outside funding sources, whether that's charges for services, intergovernmental, or other sources. Why does it not want us to display any of my little callouts?
This is the PowerPoint you sent me.
I have it on
Yeah, I
mine.
know.
Let's pull up mine.
It's being a pain. There we go. This is just a breakdown of where those are coming from. You can see 35% of our revenue is from intergovernmental sources. This does include state aid, this includes state grants, federal grants, and other programs that are out there for community services. And then 43% is from levy, and then a number of...
Oh, there it is.
Stop.
We're experiencing some technical difficulties. There. Keep going.
Yeah, we'll keep going.
You have too much information in this.
Apparently. This is a listing of the expenditures for 2023. Again, these are what was used to help us get to the 2.89% levy increase. You do see expenditures are up 3.97, but we do have other funding sources that help us offset that. And a breakdown of where those expenses are at, with the primary portions being in community services, highway, and public safety. For the first and second assessment district, this is the outlook of what their budget will look like for 2023. This is how, again, we get to that levy request. Just to break down quick, the total property tax revenue for first assessment district of 1.189, outside revenues of 49,350. There is a planned fund balance usage for first assessment district. Second assessment district, again, catching us back up, we're in a good position now. We are starting to build some of that fund balance back to allow us to do some of those major road projects that come every 3 to 5 years. They have to do a major gravel project, and that's where we're trying to get to.
Nick, can you just go back to not the last slide, but the slide before that one right there?
Yep.
So when we're looking at that pie, I think I can, yeah, that's the pie for the levy dollars, is that the pie for the whole 95 million?
This is the pie for the expenditures related to the levy side. It's just showing you where the money is being.
Levy side?
For the levy portion of our business. We also have landfill, we have solid waste. They are not levy based. They aren't included in this expense. This is just showing you what data was used for us to get to the 2.89% levy.
Okay.
With that, any comments or questions? Otherwise, I look for a motion.
So, Mr. Chair, Mr. Hool, I know that you're diligent about, just checking to see what our neighbors are doing, and I guess I'm just out of curiosity, do you have any information about what's happening other county-wise? I guess at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter, but I guess out of curiosity, I know that this board, for as long as I've been on here, has been very, very conservative about what we're spending, and in comparison to the other 87 counties. So I guess I'm just wondering, where are we at? Are we high? Are we at the bottom? Or
I don't think there's any question we're at the bottom.
Okay.
And it's a process, and so my peers communicate all the time with where they're at a given point in time.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't necessarily mean they will end there, but I can tell you that we are the lowest I can find in the state of Minnesota so far. There probably will be someone that's lower, but I'm confident telling you we're going, with the 2.89% levy increase, that will be one of, if not the lowest increase in the state.
Mr. Chair, go ahead.
Sorry. And then I did see that in the Brainerd Dispatch that the city of Brainerd has set their preliminary levy at around 9%, somewhere in there, and the school district is at about 9%. Is that what you've seen?
Yes, I've seen that as well. Okay. And so I've seen some counties in that 6 to 8% range. 4 to 5 is more common. But once you get under 4, you're in some fairly rare company.
Yeah.
I am concerned because we are seeing some fairly substantial increases proposed by other jurisdictions. I'm concerned that are we trying to take advantage of the fact that the market values have increased? We know that those market values have increased substantially, and when I hear a city talking about their tax rate going down, I don't find that to be an intellectually honest argument. That is a derived figure. It is not the mill rate that it used to be. Mm-hmm. And so when I see 10% increases, when the market values are going up 20% and people are talking about the tax rate going down, as if that will produce a decrease in taxes. Highly unlikely. And so whatever the percent levy increase a jurisdiction is proposing is likely fairly close to the percent increase a homeowner could expect to experience on their property taxes. So I am concerned about that.
Right,
that
as I am.
We should, what I would tell you is if there is new construction in the county, I would argue that it is a demand for new services. The road has to be extended. The sewer is extended. The water is extended. Snow plowing, all of the things that go along with that. But I would argue that increases in the market value of the existing housing stock is not a demand for more services. And so capturing that increase in the market value for taxation purposes, I don't understand that.
Troubling.
Mr. Chair, I would also echo what the administrator is saying, but I also want to compliment our staff. You know, we asked them to come in at less than 3, or at least 3 or at the maximum. And this is SMT group, the senior management team, has done an excellent job of negotiating with each other in times that have been tough, decisions that have been tough. And I think that they need to know that they did what we asked, and they did it with all the hesitations that they might have had in their various departments. Even I had a hesitation there for a second. But I think that they came together and they realized what we were asking of them, the pressures that the constituents have out there right now with inflation and that going on. And I think they did a wonderful job, and I think that we need to acknowledge when we come in at 2.89 and we see these other jurisdictions coming in at twice to 3 times that, this is significant. I realize it's a preliminary levy, but it still is significant that we're 1/3 of what they are, and I think that that should be noted out there to the public. So kudos to our senior management team for their efforts to manage the tax dollars that we receive in a responsible way. Thank you.
Again this year.
Again this year, yep, yeah, year over year.
Yeah, yep.
Let's be honest, they've done a great job.
Any other questions for Nick or Tim?
No. Mr. Chair, with that, I would make the motion to set the preliminary levy at 2.89 for 2023.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Barrows, seconded by Commissioner Franzine. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Additional business?
Mr. Chair, if I might, I know Commissioner Coring was waiting for this, and I don't want to disappoint him. You know, fall colors are here. I want to encourage people to get out to our parks, particularly the fire tower, to go up there and look out over the beautiful area of Breezy Point and Pequot, but also Milford Mine is a great place to go. The second thing I have is that October is Domestic Abuse Month, and on October 11th at 6:30 down at Kiwanis Park, there will be a presentation and a remembrance of people that have been killed through domestic violence or just impacted in other ways. And I would encourage everybody to show up on October 11th at 6:30 to, I don't want to say celebrate, but to acknowledge the devastation actions that domestic abuse causes in our county. And with that, Mr. Chair, I'll make the motion to adjourn unless somebody else has something they would like to add to these.
No, good job on that. That is very important, very important.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Barrows, second by Commissioner Coring. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.